So what I would do every day when I used to be able to drive for Uber in Pinellas County, I live in Manatee County, but when I drive for Uber, when I used to drive for Uber, most of the miles on this car were because I would leave Manatee County in the morning and drive over to Pinellas, St. Pete Beach, or downtown St. Petersburg, Florida, and I would drive for Uber in those locations every single day. And on the way home in the afternoon, I would listen to a book. I Bluetooth connect my stereo to my phone, and I would listen to an Audible book every day. Like, usually an Audible book, I would chew through them pretty fast. They last like 3 or 4 days or whatever. But the amount of miles that I have on this car, 549,069 miles, is a lot of miles. You can multiply those miles but times hours, and that's how many hours that I would wait on the call. I used to do that all the time. Like, I would drive to Pinellas and I would wait for a call to come through that I liked. And when I say I liked it, it had to be going to a place I like I like calls that are going to Tampa International Airport from downtown St. Petersburg, Florida, or St. Pete Beach, Florida, one of those two places. So I would sit in the car while it's running with the AC running, listening to music, and I would decline. Ooh, there's a call that I like, and I would accept it, go pick up that rider, take him to Tampa International Airport. And at that time, I was able, I don't know why Uber stopped this, but they stopped this in like September of 2023 for some reason. They stopped allowing me to do pickups in Pinellas County or Hillsborough County. I could only do pickups in Manatee County. So that's what I do. I just do pickups in Manatee County, and I take them to Tampa International Airport. But before they took that ability away from me, I would drive every day to St. Petersburg or St. Pete Beach and decline. I mean, I would sit in this car with it running, with the air conditioning running, and it never gave me a problem. I mean, you know, it did give me a problem, but not while I was like sitting in it, like waiting for the call to come through. I would do that every day. So I would drive to Pinellas, I would decline, then accept a request, a long trip, and I would go to Tampa International Airport and do the same thing at the airport, decline. And then when I see a call that I liked, that was going preferably back the other way, but sometimes it would go deeper into Tampa. I don't even know. I just strictly would take the call, mostly based on the amount of money, and that wasn't always a thing. Now, when an Uber request comes through, you can see where it's going and how much money that ride is going to be, and that's huge. It did not used to do that. So you would accept a request, and it would literally, like, you would drive like 3 miles and pick up a customer, and then, like, I did this kind of thing all the time. This is how I was with Uber. I would drive 3 miles to pick somebody up and literally take them around the corner and then drive back and then sit there and decline, and then accept. And when those requests were coming through without the amount of money or without their location, I would just, you know, like, for whatever reason, decline. Like, you know, like if I was busy at the time, or if I was working on something else, or if I was watching a good part of the video. I watch YouTube videos a lot, so if there was a good part, I would just decline based on that. I declined, and also, before I knew how much money it was and where the call was going, if I saw a drink and anyone, I would send out a request first. As soon as I accepted the request, I would send it out. I would say, okay, no drinks allowed in the vehicle, because when somebody spills a drink in your vehicle, getting the smell out and having to deal with the mess is a, you know, like the Uber charges the customer for that $50, and that's horrible. But it happens like a quick pain, it's $50 and it sucks. But as the driver has to deal with the smell from the vehicle, has to deal with the mess, has to deal with the ratings from the next customers that come in the vehicle. There's a lot of stuff that the driver has to deal with. So I just would cut that out right in the beginning. As soon as I saw a drink, after they got the request, as soon as I saw a drink in there, and I would just cancel the call. I wouldn't even pull over to pick them up. If I saw them with the drink in there, I used to do this kind of thing all the time also. Like, you know, like when I pull up to a place, if they were in a restaurant and a bar, what I would do is I would look in the restaurant or bar, and then I would touch the button that says I have arrived. And then usually I see people stand up if they have a drink in their hand. When they stand up and they start walking away with that drink, then I'm gone. I cancel the call and I'm gone. Before they even get to the front door, I disappeared. I used to do that all the time. And I would say I have about 10 calls. Like, if you, without that request, these people bring drinks all the time in your car. They think it's a free-for-all. They think it's okay to do. So it'd be like 60 or 70% of the requests, those people would have drinks. So I formulated a drink request. It's on the miscellaneous tab of ridesharedriver.blog right now. So you can see what I would send out to every customer as soon as I accepted a request. I would send it out. So that cut the amount of drinks brought into my vehicle down about 20%. So what I would do is when I would see a drink, I would just cancel the call and just go right on to the next one. So now that they have upfront pricing and trip radar, when I accept a request, I know right off the bat that the request is like $25 or $20 or whatever. So if I get to the site and the person has a drink, it's usually a big call. So I let the drinks ride now, but everybody still gets the drink request. So if they have a drink in their hand, now that I know how much money is at stake, I cancel a lot less calls. I still do cancel some, but not nearly as many as I used to. I decline a lot though. Like when a request comes through, if it doesn't meet my criteria, like I said, usually my criteria has a lot to do with money. If it's not a larger amount of money or a bigger request, then I decline. Oh, there's a big request, and then I accept that. I also accept a lot of scheduled trips because you can see in advance, like, you know, how much the call is actually going to get you, how much you're going to get from that call. And scheduled calls are better because, like, you know, if a customer says I need to go to the airport, like let's say Wednesday, so they would just like schedule requests. I would see the request comes in. If it was like $40, I'll take it. And I just know that on Wednesday ahead of time, I know that I have to pick up a customer and take them to the airport. So I do a lot of schedule requests. But all that I've done in the past 6 years, driven for Uber, I've had this car even before I drove for Uber. I've had this exact same car and I drive for Uber every single day with this car. So all the trips that I've had for Uber, and those are quality trips. Like there's the Rideshare guy and there's Jay Crutter, and they got like, you know, some crazy amount, 20 or 30,000 trips. I got over 10,000 trips. That's a lot of Uber trips. And those are mostly quality trips, bigger trips. So if a trip doesn't meet my criteria, I cancel it. I don't care at all about Uber Pro. I don't care about my acceptance rate. I don't care about my cancellation rate. The only rate that really matters with Uber is the driver rating, and I like to keep that number as high as possible. I think right now it's 4.91, which is crazy low for me. The average Uber driver, average, and I am far from an average Uber driver anyway, I think. The average Uber driver has a rating of 4.8, which is low. I've never had a rating. The lowest my rating ever was a 4.84, and that's when I started the drink request. And I'm pretty certain that my rating was so low because of drinks. That's what I think anyway.